Last week, we studied the 12th verse. As I've said, take a particular note of the 12th mantra. 12th verse is very, very famous, oft quoted. Those of you who are coming today for the first time, Namaskaram, sir. Welcome to the satsang. And Karunama also coming for the first time. Karuna Shri Samudra Lama. I hope I got your name correctly. So she's coming for the first time. Happy to have you. So the 12th verse, very famous. Can we have the translation once again, please? Moghasha, Mogha Karmanaha, Mogha Jnana Vichetasaha, Rakshasi Asurim Chaiva, Prakritim Mohinim Shitaha. It is of the nature, the destructive nature of Rakshasas and Asuras. Rakshasa, Rakshasim, Asurim Chaiva. The nature of Rakshasas and Asuras, the demoniac character, as we remember, verses 11 to 19, talks of the wise glorify and seek the self vis-a-vis the ignorant, the fools pursue the world. They're running behind the world. And there's no better verse than this that conveys the attitude and the mindset of the Rakshasas and the Asuras. And what is their attitude? What is their perspective to life? All the time, they are living in the future hopes, mogha, vain, everything. He keeps using the word mogha more than once. He, in fact, I think to be precise, he used the word thrice in the verse, mogha asha, mogha karma, mogha jnana. So vain hopes, vain actions, and vain knowledge. All their life is consumed in vain. In vain means hoping, wishing, throbbing. You are living in the unborn future. In fact, thanks, Ma. Most of the time, people are either living in the dead past, questioning and complaining and grumbling, why has life been to me the way it has been? Or you are living in an unborn future, hoping that it becomes favorable and the winds are favorable so that I can fly to better experiences. But all what you're thriving or living on is in thin air. You are building castles in air, as they say. There is no real clarity to life. So the ignorant, all their lives have a worthless pursuit. It's worthless. It doesn't seem worthless to them. But when you analyze and look at their lives, it seems worthless to us. But a fellow who is running behind that vain pursuit, for him it is very convincing. For him, he firmly believes that that next addition into his life, that next object or next person or next experience in his life is going to make all the difference in life. Now, what is the important thing to notice? Here, it's the mind that is playing such tricks with you that you fall a prey to the mind's imagination. So the mind makes you believe, and this sounds so simple, but you can very safely say the entire humanity has got trapped in it. And the simple statement is, mind convinces you to make you believe happiness is in something you do not have. And you're very convinced. You can never, any amount of wisdom, any amount of questioning will never convince you, because your ignorance always far supersedes your wisdom. You don't really have the capacity to checkmate it and say, shut up, what are you talking? You think I'm a fool? You're making a fool of me? And the mind is doing that, exactly that. Isn't it, Ramji? And what's the statement? The mind something which you don't have, in something that you have not experienced, in something that you don't have it. And the moment you say you don't have it, you are living in the unborn future. You're living into the future. And the biggest blunder one makes by pitching happiness in something you do not have is, what you do is you're pitching your present happiness in future achievements. Correct, sir? I will be happy if I get that. I will be happy if that happens. If I get a platform, I'll be happy. If I get an audience, I'll be happy. If I get an opportunity, I'll be happy. If only, if only, if only. And rightfully so, Haresh, last week you correctly coordinated that the great Ramatirtha, Swami Ramatirtha, he puts it, all your life, you are in the stage of snares of 99. Snare, it's a snare. Snare means you are caught up in a trap of 99. So the mind makes you into that trap. It's a trap you fall into. So moghasha, mogha karmana. So all your actions are driven towards that vain hope. You may say, what is life without a hope? Isn't it? Then you may, if you say, if there is no life without hope, then this verse, the message in this verse is hopeless, not life. So the verse is saying, do not live in vain hopes. Mogha asha. So to have a hope itself is vain. There can't be positive hope. What is positive hope? I hope I get to see Reddy Garu. Is it in my hands whether I get to see Reddy Garu? The fact that he's here, it's not illusion, it's reality. He's sitting in the classroom is reality. But if I was thinking, I hope I get to see him, he's so lovely person. I hope I don't get to see that person. I hate that person. The sight of only I get Vijigupsa. So I hope I don't see some person. I hope I see this person. By me merely hoping, is there any positivity in it? There is only hope. Hope means future, and it's only in vain. Let's get that right. So there's no positivity about hope. That's my question. That's my observation. If we go literally by the word, if we go literally by the text, he says the hope is vain. Vain hopes. So if you ride on the hope which is in vain, hope is in vain, that should not be the driving factor. You would not do any good by riding on hope, because he says that is in vain. Then what is it that should drive you in life? So what is the opposite of living a life of vain? No, that's exactly the examination. The whole world, even though uses certain jargons, are they really abiding by that? Not really. That's the whole examination. So the verse obviously clearly is clearly saying Gayatri Matangi. Where do I press? Dua? Now, are you all able to hear online? Okay. Now, you must clearly differentiate these two elements in life. One of the clear message in the verse is the mind lives in hopes. Hopes is, as we said, into the future. Right, sir? Now we are saying what is opposite of being driven on hopes? Now, what is, before I get to that, what is the drawback, we said, of operating on hopes? It is it's unending. And the very exercise is futile. It's meaningless exercise that you would go through. Now, and this is like a, as we say, it's a vicious cycle. You get caught up in it and you keep replacing one object with the other. Something that keeps consuming you. Something that keeps consuming you. Something that keeps a little bit you. Now, yet action cannot stop. What is opposed to is too loud. She has to reduce the volume. Go and tell her, you please sit here and be ready for my advice. Leave your bag, nobody will take your bag away. Attachment. What to do? Gayatri Ma, reduce the volume of these speakers, of this cordless. Okay. Now, opposed to what the mind constantly throws these hopes and aspirations and expectations, they all one and the same. Opposite of that is being driven in intellect is a clear goal. And whenever it talks of a goal, obviously we must understand there is no selfishness in it. So there is no anxiety. There is no anxiety, there is no feverish excitement. There is no selfishness. At the same time, actions which are driven to a goal have an initiation. Initiation means there's a drive to serve that goal. There's a drive to serve that goal. And whenever you are acting with an intellect, an attribute of intellect is you always live in the present moment. So all this, what happens is, it is the intellect that's actually governing the mind. The intellect is policing the mind. The intellect is able to grip the mind. When the intellect is absent, then you fall a prey to the mind. You get into, you're living in the future because not able to keep the mind, because the nature of the mind, as we know, trambles into the past and future. The mind trambles. That's very svabhava. So without the intellect controlling the mind, you will fall a prey to this. This is precisely the point we are making. Without the intellect, without the buddhi able to discipline it, you will fall a prey to the mind. So what you're talking about, the corporate world wants results, produce. They are all living on, they're operating on the mind. And so when the results don't come, they are disappointed, they're discouraged. And even if you want to produce more work out of it, what they do, you keep throwing works to your employees to produce work. You're feeding into their hopes. You're feeding into their desires. So you have known me working for X number of years. She has known me for close to 3 decades. Not a single incentive that can drive me to work. You can't think of giving me incentive for me to come and do my work. What drives me? There are no hopes, no aspirations. I don't live in the unborn future. But yet I am doing my work because there's a very clear goal. And the goal has to be for a larger purpose, to do good to others, not to myself. So the only way you will counter the mind is by operating with the buddhi and arresting the mind. So whenever your mind slips into the future, you have to arrest the mind and say, stop and be here. Accept where I am, accept what I am. Where I am, what I am is because what I am done, it's what I deserve. Let me live with it, accept it. But that doesn't mean I don't strive to improve. I will do what is needed to repair the condition so that the future becomes favorable based on what I do today. Without doing my action, if I start hoping, nothing would happen. Anything happens, nothing happens. So the challenge is to gracefully accept the present. Second, arrest the mind by not running into the future. You must revel in the present. And yet, don't complain of what future might give. No might. Whatever it is. If I have 10 students, I'm happy with 10 students. If I have no students, I'm happy with no students. See, there is thought and effort and genuine suggestion that soon I should come up with a residential course. Including yesterday, Ramji was mentioning to me of something we discussed. Guruji, please come out with we have a residential, no doubt a small residential facility. We should come out with a residential course. So students, it gives an opportunity for students to reside and learn this wisdom, which is very much there. But if I were to say that there are no residential students yet, would I start worrying about it? Should I worry about it? Now I ask you, if I want to start worrying, how many things can worry me? I ask you, Ma, if I want to start worrying of things, you without knowing my life and what all I do, it should not be difficult to answer that. How many things can I start worrying? Endless things. I can worry of everything. Why things are happening the way they're happening, why things are not happening, what might happen, what might not happen. But yet I can choose not to worry, isn't it? And yet do what I need to do so that things become favorable. Now, whether I'm doing things I should do to the best of my ability, I need to also recast that. I need to reevaluate and say, am I being very optimal? Am I producing the maximum I can bring about? So only when you stop worrying, that is when you get into this mode of operating. You're only living. What am I doing here? This is the only way you arrest the vain hopes and vain actions. Does that help you, sir? So what it's safe to say that if you live in hope, your hope consumes you and destroys you completely. Your whole life is consumed and destroyed by living in an imaginary realm. So either you're dejected or excited. Correct? You get dejected. Why? Because your hopes didn't meet you. Or you get excited because for a moment, what you wanted has come your way. So you're excited. Why have you to be excited or dejected? If you remain in the present, you're firmly grounded. Isn't it? You just take what it comes. If you want, I'll take it. Good. Ma, can you hold the mic closer to you? Ma, when you forecast your future, when you talk of planning, when you think of taking things into account, how I should, you're putting your present into the future. In order to do that, you got to take all your known and possible factors into account and plan. So all that is done by the buddhi. Intellect. No. You goal also is in the future. So if you have a goal in the future, you got to plan this moment to there. So Ma, we need to have short-term goals, we need to have long-term goals, we need to have a goal for your entire life. So imagine if I have a goal of self-realization, and if I give myself my health condition and the effort I'm putting, where am I? Let's say I'm 48 now. By the time I reach 75, being realistic or unrealistic, I don't know that. By 75, at the time I reach 75, I want to reach self-realization. That's the goal. And I have a clear goal, that is my goal in life. So I give myself next 25 years to reach there. Now, 20 years from now, where should I be? 15 years from now, where should I be? 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 1 year from now, 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, 2 weeks, today, what I should do. All that planning is done by the intellect, not the mind. Even you have to catch a flight. You don't see Raukalam. What is the right time to leave to the airport? Raukalam, is it the right time to step out to catch the cab? You decide on that to board the flight would have gone long ago. Because the flight timing is not based on Raukalam. The flight time is based on their schedule, isn't it? You want to catch the flight. If I have to be there 2 hours before at the gate, I must leave 1 hour before. I must be ready minimum 20 minutes before. That means I must get up at this time. I must sleep at this time and get back that time. All is done. You don't base on Muhurtam and Raukalam and whether the solar eclipse has come, the lunar eclipse has gone. You don't operate on that. That is the mind. If you operate on all those factors over which you have no control, it's all sentiment driven. They are gone. Some doctor comes to you and says, immediately get admitted, I have to operate. You do hear cases like that, don't you? Cesarean or emergency surgeries, and you go for a checkup and you are advised to be admitted, immediately surgery. You can't say, doctor, please wait. I'll call my pujari and time. Is it the right time to operate? Everything I consult my pujari. He is from the very celebrated place. He's a very Vedic scholar. All his life he has been doing pujas and that and this. So I'll consult him to do the operation. Sir, will you advise, sir, to consult the pujari when to start the operation? Emergency operation, doctor is saying. Emantaru meeru? Correct. Possible. Therefore, what Amma is saying is, you don't do anything, you just keep quiet and surrender, things will happen. I just take an example. I'm walking down the street, evening walk, and I see a few stray dogs. Stray dogs are roaming. And I walk past by and suddenly they choose to come and attack me. And I'm attacked by the couple of stray dogs. I'm badly bitten. I will follow your advice. Be calm. Don't worry. Everything will happen fine. You mean to say I should not go and get myself admitted in the hospital or get checked up or get treated, take medication? Should I do that or not? What karma, mana karma, whatever karma I have to perform, I ought to perform. I should perform. Having done that, how quickly it will heal, I should not worry. Are these dogs stray dogs? Are they pets? Are they vaccinated? Or am I going to be with rabies, or am I going to suffer? Am I going to live or die? That is all. Don't worry. Get treated. Doctor will say, don't worry. Looks like these could be stray dogs, but you have got yourself well protected. It will take a few days for the pain to subside, but it's all well covered. You're well immunized now. Don't worry. He assures you, but still you may start worrying. We are saying that you do what is needed. Continue to do what is needed. But along the while you're doing, stop worrying along the way. The problem is, along with the actions, worries also coming along with you. So you should continue to strive, act, at the same time, arrest the mind. Otherwise, you're mindless. Okay. So, following Haresh? Sanjay,
Yes,
good?
Guruji. Yes, I'm following, Guruji. Thank you.
You know, Haresh, somebody went up to Socrates and said that I'm decided to get married next week, so I've come to give my invitation to you. I want to get married next week. He said, oh, congratulations, by all means, you get married. And then after he left, he had a few students with him. And he said, yet another triumph of hope over experience. Write that down, Haresh. I know it's a little too late, but it's okay. The message, Socrates said, it is yet another triumph of hope over experience. What do you understand by that? Sanjay is laughing, full of laughter. A witty Socrates.
I love that. I've never heard that before. That's perfect.
Perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it is so apt in the context of the verse. He says it's a triumph of hope over experience. And what is triumph here? Is victory of your foolishness over the depth of experience has taught you that has never been so, but yet you choose to be foolish in your pursuit and fall a prey to the minds pranks. Yet another triumph of hope over experience. Correct, Aramji? It's nothing to do with marriage. It's to do with anything in life. Anything in life. You could have mighty dreams. You can have mighty goals. But if I am not happy now, I will never be happy ever in the future. So what you envision yourself to be happy 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, you should revel in the same happiness now. If I get that, I'll be happy now. Gone. You've lost the game of life. If I have 100 units of happiness now, I must have the same 100 units of happiness tomorrow. I should have the same 100 units of happiness in the past, yesterday also. It's not that I am 80 units now and I get that my happiness become 90 units or 100 units. It's never like that. And that's only possible by keeping your mind in the moment now. So you must grip the mind, keep here. So, but yet the quality of the Rakshasas and the Asuras, as the verse says, the nature of Rakshasas and Asuras, it's an introverted nature is to be happy in the moment. The extroverted nature is to lead a life of Rajas and Tamas. The Rajasic people are passionate, as we said. Tamasic people are ignorant, lazy, useless bunch of fellows. Both of them. The world is majority of these type of people, the Rajasic and Tamasic. Reddy Garu is still looking at the board. Okay, sir? Right, we'll take up verse 13, please. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakrutimashritaha bhajan yananya manasaha jnatva bhutadimavyayam. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakrutimashritaha bhajantyananya manasaha jnatva bhutadimavyayam. But refers to the other than the ignorant people, the Mahatmas. Mahatmas, the great souls, O Partha, Arjuna, possessed of my divine nature. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha. They are possessed of my divine nature. What do they do? Bhajanti. Bhajanti means worship. How do they worship? Ananya manasaha. Ananya manasaha. They worship with an unwavering mind, having known me as avyayam. Avyayam means imperishable. Bhutadim. It is the very source of all beings. So opposed to the Rakshasas and Asuras are the Daivim, the divine people. So the fools disregard the self. Why are they disregarding the self? Because they are caught up in worldly pursuits. They are not interested in the self because they are caught up in the outer layers, the outer vestures. They're not interested in seeking the self. They are only caught up in vain hopes and vain actions. 11 and 12 spoke of it. The Mahatmas have a trademark and copyright. Trademark and copyright of Mahatmas. Gayatri Ma. Trademark and copyright of Mahatmas. What is the trademark and copyright of Mahatmas? Contrary to the Rakshasas. The Rakshasas are vain hopes. They are outward. The opposite of that is they go inward. They are seeking the self. And in the thought of the self, the beauty of any thought is the richness of a thought is dash. Fill in the blanks. Okay, I have the thought of the self, which he says is the quality of the divine. If I'm able to entertain the thought of the self, it is my divine nature. Isn't it? If you are able to entertain the thought of the self, it's your divine nature. But when will that thought enrich you? Purest of thought. Thinking of the self is the purest of thought. Anything more purer than that? I don't think so. So it's a purest of thought, no doubt. But when will that thought really enrich you? You know, sir? Absolutely right, sir. So good. Only when the thought is Ananya Bhakti. The famous words in the Gita, elsewhere it said, the 9th chapter, if I'm not wrong, not 9th chapter, is it 9th chapter? I don't think it's this. Correct, it is this chapter, 22nd verse. Play that verse, post that verse, Gayatri Ma. That chapter 9, we are in chapter 9 only, no? Verse 22. Verse 22 of chapter 9 is actually the geometrical center of the Gita. 701 verse, the Gita. So this side 350 verses, this side 350 verses, the 351st verse is the pivot. The whole Gita balances between this verse. And the 351st verse, which is the chapter 9, verse 22. One of the most outstanding verse. Ananyashchintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate yesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Again, ananyashchintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Now when we get there, I'll explain this. But here, can we have the verse, please? It's all copied from here, borrowed from here. This is the source. Ilya, I hope this is the source. This is the Gita. It comes there. Yes, very true. A lot of sections are taken from the Gita, from the Upanishads, from the Vedic mantras. They all appear everywhere. But this is the source. Now, if you get the right, so what is the concept, sir, Ramji? I said it is not the thought you entertain, but the beauty and grandeur of a thought is when the thought becomes consistent. If it is not consistent, you will not achieve anything in life. Isn't it? Isn't it? It's not what you do that matters, but how consistently you do what you do. Steadfastness, consistency. So that's why he says in the 22nd verse, if he says, to those people who have that ananya chinta, which is consistency of purpose or steadfastness, to them I grant yoga and kshema. Kshema refers to Kshemam. Kshemanga undandi. Means what? All your well-being. At a worldly level, at a material level, everything is fine. Yoga is union with the self. So it gives you spiritual success and glory. It gives you material success and well-being. So the principle to gain yoga and kshema is ananya chinta, which is what is precisely being presented or mentioned here in the 13th verse. Sorry, Ramji, you were saying something? Okay. So this is the quality of a Mahatma. A Mahatma has the quality of keeping a consistency to the thought. So what is that which makes it inconsistent? If you're inconsistent, means you're a Rakshasa. If you're consistent, means you're a Mahatma. It doesn't necessarily has to be only self. Anything that you do. The trademark of a successful person is his consistency. Right, sir? Now, what is it that makes your actions inconsistent? It's the mind that distracts and wanders away and makes your actions inconsistent. So, the capacity to have no other thought than the self. So once you have the thought, that thought must be there throughout your day, throughout your activities. An example we take is, Vasantama, remember the example we take to have the consistency of thought throughout the day? Don't we take the example of a musician? A musician attunes to the Shruti throughout the performance. Shruti is the background music, the Tanpura, which is there behind the main singer. And not only the singer, the audience, everybody is attuned to the Shruti. And the entire ragam is sung attuned to that Shruti. So the Shruti which you should be attuned to. So what, when you say ananya chinta, it must be like the Shruti. Means everything that you do must be in sync with the goal. Anything that you do. That is a trademark of Mahatma. It is exactly the opposite of Rakshasas and Asuras. So anything, nothing is consistent. They don't do anything. They take up one thing, they leave it there. They move on. Keep. Very restless. And then he says, having known me as the imperishable source of beings, I am the imperishable. Everything is subject to change in life. Isn't it? Another name for the world is change. So birth and death only means change. Having known me to be the imperishable, so this pursuit takes them to that. So when you have such Shraddha, Shraddha is that capacity of a Mahatma. In sense, it's a sattvic quality. When you say Mahatma, a sattvic quality. And one who is endowed or possessed of this sattvic quality, where does it take him? It almost takes him to the known to be the imperishable. Means once you get to that state, once you do this path, once you approach the path of Ananya Chinta, I hope you're getting the logic. What he's saying is, once you have this quality of Ananya Chinta, you will get to the what is the source of beings? Avyayam, imperishable. What does it mean? It's very tricky the way they put it. Let me. Are you all able to hear me online? Sanjay? Okay. So, I'm just trying to put a practical sense to what the second half of the verse is saying. The first thing he says is, if you are consistent, what happens when you're consistent? No. You get to the imperishable. Correct, Anandji? Now, which he qualifies this as a source of beings. Once your actions are consistent, and he says this is a divine nature. In a terms we understand, we are calling it as a sattvic quality. Opposed to it, the Rakshasas and the Asuras, Rajasic and Tamasic. Now, when you act, so your actions, here he's talking about your actions, then you reach a state of imperishable, which is the ultimate goal. Now, this is the crux. The crux is anything that is imperishable is beyond change. Anything that perishes is changing. Anything which perishes is not its nature, it changes. Imperishable means it's not changing. So when you reach the imperishable means, what? It's the goal. So so these actions take me to the imperishable. I am beyond change means I am insulated to the change. I remain unaffected by the change. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether you see it. I see it as if written on the wall. It's their language. అర్థమవుతుందా? అయినా అర్థం కావట్లేదు. as I've said, the world, another name for world is change, correct? Everything in the world goes through change. And whenever you go through change, the change causes you pain. There is discomfort. So change, you are able to comfortably read the document. Why are you able to comfortably read the document? Huh? You're able to read document. Why are you comfortable able to read, sir? Sir, anta think cheyakandi. What is constant? Matter can't be dancing. No, matter is constant. But why, when I'm able to read the document, why am I able to read the document? Because the light is constant. Imagine you sit under a light which is flickering. Can you read it? Imagine I take your discotheque and read in discotheque. No discotheque, sir. I can't see thing. Everything is. What can you read there? That flickering is the change. Where there's change, you can't even read a document. It causes discomfort. So any change causes suffering. Now the question is, how do you conquer that change? Is by getting to the state of the changeless. Mic you? Okay. Sorry, Chapan. Yeah, I will repeat what the questions are being asked. So please be a little patient. Okay. Change leads to suffering. Yes. 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 No, when you are gaining the wisdom, you are changing from being vulnerable to remain unaffected. You are trying to get to that changeless entity. You're going up the ladder. You're becoming a transformed individual. What the world affected you yesterday and today will not affect you tomorrow. Why? Because of that impact of wisdom on you, the transformation, you will remain insulated. Is that the word I used there? You remain insulated by the happenings in the world. Now, what insulates you? Is this wisdom? So how to get to that state of changeless? Consistency. Ananya Chinta. If you don't have Ananya Chinta, Bhaktya Ananya, Bhajati. Worship me, Ananya. It can't be a part-time activity. It has to be a full-time awareness. So much so that you have no thought or interest in anything else than this. Or anything else you do only reminds you of this. Sir, Ramji, can you sing a song? Yesterday you were singing so many songs. Sing me one song where the lover thinks of the beloved. We had a get-together yesterday amongst the team, and we had some kind of antakshari and we were playing, singing and all. Sing one song. At least one line, at least. One liner. ఏంటండి Shruti Oslan. Ashruti. तेरी आंखों के सिवा ये दुनिया में रखा क्या है? Okay, another song. అదొద్దులేండి. ఓకే పాడండి. For those online, I can't do justice of Ramji when saying, कभी कभी मेरे दिल में ख्याल आता है. That he sang in poetry, I am doing in prose. Now, just like the lover is constantly reminded and thinking of the beloved, when I say कभी कभी मेरे दिल में ख्याल आता है, क्या आता है ख्याल में? Only the self. Only the thought of the self. A miser. Correct. Just like a miser is all the time worshipping the money, just like the lover is all the time thinking of the beloved, a bhakta who is in love with the self, he will revel in the thought of the self, ananya, throughout. It's not a part-time activity, it's a full-time awareness. So anything he does, he thinks of the higher. Nirantara abhyasa, constant. So the real trademark of a Mahatma is that consistency. And once you do that, whatever is happening in the world, you go into it, you come out of it unscathed, untouched. Nothing touches you, affects you. Things go by. Mahatma possessed of that nature. Ashama बोलिए. अभी आप क्लास में मुझे प्राइवेटली भेजते हैं, सबको दिखता है यहाँ पे, कुछ प्राइवेट नहीं है. हाँ, ऑनलाइन क्लास में मुझे ही दिखता है, ये यहाँ पे सबको दिख रहा है. तो आप बोलिए.
मैंने कहा सही रास्ते पर चलते रहिए, मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी. यू हैव टू कीप वॉकिंग. चलने की आदत चाहिए, मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी.
करेक्ट. तो आदत ही चाहिए ना.
हाँ, आदत चाहिए, अनन्य चिंतन की आदत चाहिए, मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी.
कहाँ जाएगी मंजिल? मंजिल कहीं नहीं मिल. हाँ,
मंजिल तो स्टेडफास्ट है ना.
करेक्ट. वेरी नाइस. अब ऐसे whenever you say it in Hindi और उर्दू, it's so beautiful. ओरिजिनल है ना यार, इंग्लिश तो पूरा बोरोड है, इसमें क्या है, मजा नहीं है. No justice. You can't do justice to the literature, the beauty of it. Huh? Once more read ma.
सही रास्ते पर चलते रहिए, मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी. अनन्य चिंतन करते रहिए, मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी.
बहुत अच्छा. आपके आशीर्वाद से हम पहुंच जाएंगे वहीं पे. आपको बोलेंगे हम पहुंचने के बाद, हम पहुंच गए.
हम आपके पीछे पीछे हैं.
हाँ, आप हमारे पीछे हैं. हाँ. आप हमारे मन में हैं, तो आप कहीं नहीं जाएंगे.
शुक्रिया, शुक्रिया.
थैंक यू. 14 प्लीज. सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रताः नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्याः नित्ययुक्ता उपासते. सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रताः नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्याः नित्ययुक्ता उपासते. Again he says satatam. Satatam is always. Kirtayanto mam. Kirti is the glory. You're always glorifying me. Yatantaha. Striving. Dridham vrataha, firm in vows. Vratam, as they say, no, you practice vows, but you're dridham, you're firm in your vows. Nothing can change you. Prostrating before me with devotion. Namasyantasya mam bhaktya. Look at that. Huh? It's so sweet. It's so beautiful, those words. You are prostrating to me, before me with devotion. Again he says, Nitya yuktaha, ever steadfast. Upasate, they worship me. So here, even a miser also is practicing the same quality, sir. As you rightly said. All the time thinking of. No, I'm only referring to what you said. A miser also is all the time thinking of money, correct? But the Lord also says, think of the self. So what should we do? That's all. Replace money with God. Not easy though. Replace the thought, that's all. We are already consistent. Consist on something else. The consistency is there, but the object of worship is to be changed. Replace the world. Goal is there, direction. And as they say, what you think is the last thought that you'll entertain. So a lady, as they say, the last thoughts, last moments of your on the deathbed, they say whatever you say then will determine where you go next. Not realizing the law, a lady took it very seriously. She saw her husband in the dying moments, in the deathbed. And doctor said he has got a few days, not more than a week. So please call your family and friends, the near and dear. It's okay. And then suddenly she remembered this. These are the passing moments of my dear husband, and I want to wish him well in the future birth. And what? She struggled all her life to become spiritual. He was a miserly fellow, as you referred to that fellow. He's a miserly fellow. All the time money, 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 all the time worshipping. So she had this thought, how do I make my husband, who has never thought of the higher, think of higher? Suddenly a master thought came into her mind. She had a couple of servants in the house. And one of the servants' fame was Narayana. Narayana is Narayana, Lord. What I'll do, I will make him attend to all my husband's needs for the next however long, till his last breath. So whenever he needs, he'll have to call Narayana only. Nobody will come to him. Only Narayana. So at least that way he will utter the word Narayana. So clear instructions that nobody is available, only Narayana will be available. All the arrangements were made. But whenever this husband of hers called Narayana, that word Narayana never used to come into his mouth. Muttala. Muttala means you idiot. Where are you, man? I'm asked. I want some water. Where are you? He's not called Narayana. He didn't. And the wife's. Why couldn't he even utter the word Narayana? Why? Not practice, sir. All this life, he only led a crooked life. Or naturally, only crooked words came to him. He never, you fool, you idiot, where are you? I'm calling you so long. I'm pressing the bell. You don't come. There's no thought of that. So it's not that the last thoughts you entertain, no doubt the last thoughts you entertain will determine where you go. If there's every truth in it, but when Mahatma Gandhi was shot, he said, "Hey Ram." If he had to say, "Hey Ram," what it means? Ramji. So the thoughts you entertain are crystallization of the thoughts you have fed prior. It's like if the end of the pipe, if something is coming out from the pipe, it's only what is fed at the beginning, isn't it? If orange juice is fed, orange juice will come out from this end of the dispenser or the filter. If a pineapple is fed, pineapple will come out. Water is fed, coffee is fed, coffee. So the last thought is nothing but a culmination of all the thoughts you've entertained in your life. And whenever the appointed time comes, and nobody knows when it comes, it depends on what thoughts you've entertained. And that is determined by the parallelogram law of forces. Science proves it. The cumulative effect of your thoughts is your present moment. So therefore, if not for what you are today, for your future, you must entertain the thoughts of the higher. And if the thought of the higher is predominant, that will determine where you go into the future. But here in the verse, when he says, glorifying me, striving firm in vows, these two terms, striving and firm in vows, refers to karma yoga. Karma is, what is karma? Action. Yoga is actions are done for your self-enrichment, for self-edification, self-purification. So karma yoga. And when he talks of prostrating with devotion, using prayers, is to make you humble at all times, is an element of bhakti or devotion. And jnanam is said in the 15th verse. Talks clearly there about jnana yoga, about the yajna. So 14 talks of karma and bhakti, 15 talks about jnanam. We'll come back and I'll explain the deeper meaning next week. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.